Goes another 20-year-old.
Holy shit, I hate those guys.
Gotta hate 20-year-olds.
Fuck those guys.
Somebody help these 20-year-olds.
It's time to figure it out, Ricky.
Fucking touch me.
Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming up on the 3-year anniversary of this show, Too Many Jams. Show about all things 20-year-old. And I've said that line hundreds of times now. It's crazy to think about just how long we've been doing this, and it's funny because it started right where I'm sitting here. I'm in my parents' basement. Started about 3 years ago, right here before I moved out. Robbie had just left London. He'd come to Toronto. We were trying to figure out what we wanted to do with our lives. And we were both lost. He just got dumped, I think. And I was working at my business, but I was falling out of love with it and was really lost career-wise. And yeah, we were both just trying to figure out what to do. And we were listening to a bunch of podcasts, sending things back and forth. Just me being an overthinker, obviously just pondering what's the best thing to do? What can we do? How are we going to figure this out? And it was actually Robbie who was like, hey, why don't we just start a podcast figuring it out? And then I think I came up with the name because it was a book I'd read that referred to that Too Many Jams study about indecision with all the choices. And things then came together, and we recorded episodes, I think, in November, but I don't think we released them until January. 3 years ago, coming up this January, just under 3 years. So yeah, it's funny that in 3 years, all that thinking, all that talking, and I'm sitting in the same fucking spot. Like I'm right back where I started. I'm not a millionaire. My music didn't pop off. The podcast didn't pop off. And we did a lot. I'll tell you that for free. A lot was done. But yeah, it's actually, I don't know. I was just kind of appreciating that. Because as much as that is the case, I wouldn't trade it. I think it happens, like that's the path you got to go through. Because I feel like for the first time, maybe in my life, I kind of had a major breakthrough on my whole philosophy, and I'm fundamentally changing for the first time, I think, in my whole life on my own accord. I think I've changed plenty of times because factors around me have changed, and you adapt to your situation. But I think for the first time, I guess COVID caused it. Shit. Yeah, I got to think about that. What really caused this change? I mean, I got to give myself credit. Without the last 3 years of trying to to dive into life design, like the podcast, early days of the podcast, we did learn. I'm not saying the last 3 years were a waste by any means. Early days of the podcast, we were figuring out what to do. That was season 1, what to do. And we would ask people about what they're doing, and we would listen to podcasts, and I was reading books on it, and I was overthinking it. And then we came to the conclusion in our first year that what we should be doing is whatever the fuck we want to do. That the only thing that was stopping us from doing what we wanted was fears of failure. So that was a massive breakthrough in year 1. And year 1, we decided that, well, Robbie had always wanted to be a musician. Like, he just loves music. Me, I like music. It's a big part of my life, but I never thought I worked hard enough at it. I always had a natural kind of talent for it, but I was like, oh, people work way harder than me. But it was really just, you hear people say this about stuff all the time. Oh, I could never. People work way harder than me. As if like you need to like go back in time and work harder from like ages 8 to 16 to get somewhere. Some people just turn it on at a certain point, start working hard and can achieve something. Some people start young, and it's really just kind of an excuse for not doing something you want to do. And I was filled with excuses and filled with fear, even though to me it seemed like, it's like, what do you mean? I've done everything I wanted. I've achieved every marker I've set out to achieve. But they were all within like kind of a construct, you know? So yeah, year one, we're just like, why not? Let's just say for the sake of experiment, we could do whatever we want. What would it be? And, I'd read some books that said, look at places, you have advantages, really narrow down the stuff you can't really do, even though you feel like you can. I was sitting there, I was like, can I really be a race car driver? If I start right now, could I really be like wild things that I also would love to be, but could I be a Red Bull Air Race pilot? I don't think so. I would, or at least it would take a considerable leap to make happen. Like nothing's impossible, but like what is in my realm of stuff that I have advantages in and I can do, and I really like to do, and can give me the life I want. And I settled on, I didn't settle, but I chose music, I said, I love the results of music. When I write a song that people like, I love that. When I play a show in front of people, I love that. If I were to be successful at music, I love the opportunities that gives me to, music is such a connector. Musicians they can hang with athletes, they can hang with actors, they can hang with CEOs, they can hang with just interesting people. It really gives, like for someone like me who I like so many things. It was hard to choose one thing, but if that one thing opens up the door to a lot of things and you're good at it and it can get you there, I love that too. So, I narrowed in and I said, if I could do this, it would be amazing. And yeah, maybe I haven't put in the child prodigy level work that some musicians have. And maybe my natural talent is like, holy fuck, some guy's just going to discover me on YouTube like Justin Bieber. I'm going to have to work. It's going to be a career. It's going to be a grind. But yeah, why not? So we chose that. So we figured out what we're going to do in season 1, year 1. Year 2, we didn't figure anything out, but we started to try to figure out how to do it. That was our whole mantra in year 2. Okay, cool. We know what we're doing. Hey, we're Travis and Robbie. We got a podcast. We're in a band together, and we both, we do entrepreneurial shit or like work odd jobs to make the money to make that happen. That's what we're doing. Let us figure it out how to do it. And we were talking to a bunch of cool people, figure out how they do their stuff. And I'm gonna say we tried a lot of accountability exercises, planning, random Instagram competitions to like challenge ourselves to, go against each other. And I'll run it for 1 week. He runs it for his week. We'll see who does like post more, gets more likes, all this shit, like overthinking to the nines about the right way to do stuff. And what's funny is that we did stuff, we released an EP, we launched our band, we officially did it. And, it took a long time. And what's funny about year 3 of the podcast is we kept thinking about what to do. It didn't really evolve this last year. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I mean, we had all the plans to. Year 3, we had all the plans. I wrote down my next evolution. This exact time last year, I wrote down this entire evolution based on the previous year of what I learned of basically how I think I needed to live to get there. And it's actually a lot similar to the place I'm at now. The only thing I learned this last year was, the right implementation and stuff. But yeah, so we had that plan, and we kind of hit the ground running, and immediately got to work on that song Victoria that we put out last year. And we got to work on figuring out a real studio to do it in, because we wanted to upgrade. We wanted to get to that next level of professionalism instead of doing it all at home, which is how we did our first album. But we didn't really evolve the podcast. I think we said we were gonna. We said, okay, this year is now about, we figured out what to do. And we did a bunch of experimenting. Now we know what to do, and we're just gonna do it. And this is gonna be us recording, our journey to success, and talking to cool people along the way, and like getting like their journeys to success. A couple months in, and I mean, things were happening, but no faster, no better, no real new ground was reached. We did make a song in studio, and it was incredibly hard, and we figured out how to make a professional radio quality sounding song. And like, we had these plans. We were going to record it, then we were going to throw this massive concert to promote it, where we were going to film a music video at the concert. We were also going to invite our friends that were musicians, make it this big party, get it sponsored, invite industry attention. Like, we did have a plan. And then that's how we were going to get on, maybe on some labels' radar, on some management's radar, get a bunch of hope. We were hoping that we get a bunch of attention, maybe from blogs and stuff. We had a plan, but COVID hit. And I'm going to be honest, we were leaving things also to the deadline. Things were taking a lot longer. We were still kind of just not really, I don't know, just something fell off. And when COVID hit, the offness was like accentuated. Instead of him and I rolling with the punches, we took a vacation. He went home. I self-isolated in our house and set up, the video game chair, and went to hit rock bottom essentially after a few months. But I mean, he hit his own kind of rock bottom in a way, just looked different. Yeah, so realistically, I'm going to say, yeah, COVID might have caused a realization, but it wasn't without the last 3 years of trying that I was even in the place to understand COVID or understand why we failed and fell off and almost broke up and almost everything in COVID. And why, like, I hit such lows, and I saw a side of myself I never thought I didn't even know I had it really in me anymore, to be such a bum. So it's a combination for sure, but I'm going to give myself the credit where it's due, that after 8-9 months of really struggling, some breakthroughs happened. And some fundamental perspective shifts happened. And, I started looking in the right places, and then, the right answers started popping up. And, I read that book, War of Art. I wrote my own kind of thoughts down. I talked to a few people about it. And then I started to realize by what they were saying back that, I was on the right train. It's like, once you get a perspective, if you have a perspective that someone else has, you can communicate with them. You can kind of talk about it, but you can always kind of fundamentally tell when they don't get it. You're like, oh, you know what? Maybe they sound like, even like your closest buddies, like you might be talking about even entrepreneurship or what you're doing, describing it, or they might be describing a problem to you, and you might give them some advice, but you find yourself kind of censoring it because you're like, you know what? That's the way I see it, but I mean, from where they're sitting, maybe it just doesn't look like that. And you kind of reel it in. But once, and I feel like my friends that my friends that maybe understood discipline, or even, my mentor, or my just certain people that kind of were successful that we've already talked to or have in our lives that are already kind of achieving some degree of a non-traditional success, kind of would always say, oh, you guys should do this, you guys should do that. And we'd say, yeah, we're trying that. Like, yeah, we're doing it. But I bet they felt the same way, because finally when I had this breakthrough, I started having these very different types of conversations with those people where they're like, now you get it. Essentially, they're like, yeah, this is it. It's always been this. And then I started to listen to podcasts differently and read books, as I said, that one book, quite differently. And I started to look at it's almost like you move one domino and the rest kind of fall. And I started to look at everything from the perspective of discipline and routine and process. And even though I knew what all those things were before, I never really understood that it wasn't a conscious thing. It's not like, it's not what overthinkers do. If I thought I knew what all that stuff was, and I knew I had a veiled perspective on it. I could see pieces of it, but I didn't have the right prescription glasses to really understand what I was looking at. Whereas now I know it's just like the people that make it, they just worked harder than the next guy. They just grinded. They suffered for it. They sacrificed. They wanted it badly. They didn't overthink it. They embarrassed themselves. They fell on their face. And I just kind of I had this, like, it's like, how some people talk about, when in near-death experiences, like, they accept death, or when something bad happens or traumatic, there's like a few stages to change or whatever, but acceptance is a big thing. I had this, like, real peaceful kind of acceptance that I can no longer live a certain way. That, like, it almost felt like a death. I was like, this might sound trippy again, but I truly had kind of a spiritual experience just hitting such a low for me, and ending up in the same place after 3 years of going out on my own from a pretty set career. I had a set career. I'd done everything I needed to do to be either in finance or a commercial pilot. I have my commercial pilot's license, so that's what I went to school for. I got my CFAs after school, and I ran several businesses, so I could have gotten to finance or entrepreneurship to a degree. And I do some of that, but really I chose music. And yeah, so I had a bit of a spiritual experience in COVID where I just accepted that it's not going to be a life of comfort. It's not going to be a life of, trying one thing and making it. It's not going to be a life of thinking of the perfect thing to do, trying it, and then, oh, that works. It's literally going to be one foot in front of the other. I don't know the answers. And just getting up earlier than I think I can, than the next person, looking to people that have done what I want to do, and just trying to work harder than that, and let answers come to me through work, learn lessons through doing, and really tone down the hyper thinking and kind of be more present. And I just accepted it. I just said, you're gonna give more to this than you ever have before. And it's going to give more back to you, and that's going to be the real change. Whereas before, I wanted balance, and I wanted comfort, and I thought that life design really meant, oh, I can get up when I want, and I can work out when I want, and I can do all this when I want, and I can do that when I want. I can still go to social stuff. I can still play my hockey. I can still have fun times on dates. And yeah, to agree, that's true. You could do it if you work so fucking hard and stick to a process that you're constantly chipping away and staying on top of stuff, so that you can manage a busy schedule of making money, making music, yeah, sure. You're going to have to work fucking way harder if you want an extraordinary life, and you're going to have to give more to it. And at some point, something's going to give. You're going to have to sacrifice somewhere, whether it's your money, your savings, whether it's, you can only really be good at a few things. And if early days you have to make music, you have to expose yourself, through content and music and social media, and you have to make money, the list starts to kind of run of what you can be good at. It starts to run out. You can still do things, but yeah, you're not going to be an excellent social butterfly. You're not going to be able to make everything. You're not going to be at all the parties, at all the, the guy with the club hookups, but that's fine. I got buddies that do that stuff. That's their interest, and they'll always hold down a seat for me. And, maybe I won't be the best, or most desirable fucking, I don't know, I don't know what other things I try to do that are balanced. Maybe I can't give my all to being a boyfriend, but I mean, it's really hard to explain what I mean. Like, your relationships with your family and your friends, and I'm not saying that they'll suffer, because if you do it right, they'll see that you're giving it your all. They'll see that you are giving it your all, that you're not, busy just because you're procrastinating, whatever. Like, it'll still work, but you're not going to be like great. You're not going to be like an exceptional, wow, Trav is like the one planning surprise birthdays and like fucking this and that. And when it comes to my extracurriculars, like hockey, maybe I can't play in 4 leagues. Maybe I can't, like, there's areas that will have to be reorganized around the priority, which is number 1, my dream. Music, number 2, making the money to pay for it. This is time priorities. Obviously, the most important thing to me in life is my family and my friends, and then my career. But in terms of time priority right now at my stage of my life, I got to make sure my time priority is, music, then money, then social life. And, yeah, so I don't know, like these things, I used to overthink and like, I'll make a rank and I'll make a list and I'll do this and I've got all these tools. They're in there. I'm stopping to think about it. I made a routine out of my best guess and I'm just kind of hammering it. And so yeah, for the first time, to sum all it up, for the first time, sitting in the same spot as I was 3 years ago, on January 1st, I'm moving into a new place. And I'm basically shedding all this baggage, all this overthought, all this bogged down, all these thoughts I had about, motivation and doing things the right way. And I'm really excited. I actually feel like new year, new me for the first fucking time, because I'm already new. So it's, I'm not waiting for New Year's to change. So it's cool. And what all that kind of came from, I was just feeling real fucking good last week. I got to give a shout out to my all the way back to high school, my friend Alex Mercolami, but we caught up for the first time in 9 months. And the guy flat out inspired me. Just flat out inspired me. And basically we talked 9 months ago, and he was trying to make a decision whether he keeps working for, he was working in finance, and whether he keeps working for someone or if he starts his own practice, which essentially, when you're managing money, you work for someone, you learn. You're working at a bank usually, or for some senior person. At some point you can go on your own and you can start your own portfolio. Some people do, some people don't, and they work for, it's just different strokes. He was trying to figure out what to do, and I guess we had one of the chats, which I have with many of my friends. Like a lot of my friends, because I have such a passion in this shit, a lot of my friends that also are into it, we chat about it all the time. And we're having one of those chats, and I just told him what I saw from my perspective. I told him some stuff that, I thought he was a remarkable person. I thought he was incredibly smart, incredibly capable. I told him where I thought his talents were. Like some of the stuff I see that just really made me feel a certain way, and just painted a picture of how I saw him through our years of being friends. And then we talked about some philosophy and some of the stuff I'd learned from books. And, he reads books and is big into all that shit too. And from the podcast, from talking to people. And I guess, at least this is what he described, but he said something clicked in that conversation. And he made the choice, I guess, the next day and never looked back. And the guy there is no better example of a guy who just committed to a process, to discipline, sacrifice. Man, I have not talked to him in 9 months. He's not shown up to a single friend thing. He's been living away. He's got his own place out of Toronto, and like all this stuff is intentional. Like he has removed himself from distraction. He's removed himself from, the things that he thinks he doesn't have a grip on yet, and something that he's still trying to figure out. But he put work first. He said, "I'm just going to figure that out right now." And in 9 months, the guy got his own practice. He's managing money, and I won't go into specifics because these are his details. But I just wanted to, it really inspired me. And you guys don't understand what kind of grind that is to start fresh. You have basically your knowledge and the name backing you, whatever bank you work for, but you cannot go to old clients. You cannot go to friends and family, because at least the level of money he was trying to manage is the minimum investments is more than I could give, or most friends and family could. And you got a cold call for months and months and sell people to give you a large sum of their hard-earned money to a 28-year-old kid or a 27-year-old kid. It's a grind, and you don't do that. You don't succeed if you don't have a process and a discipline and a routine unlike anybody else. And so big ups. We had chats about that and how, he's setting targets and he's just sticking to it. And I told him, obviously that it fired me up and it really inspired me, because I actually, funnily enough, because he said that, our chat was a stepping stone for him, but I told him how I feel like I'm right now where he was 9 months ago. Just a beginner, an absolute beginner. I have all my experience, but this is the first time where I'm going to start that grind, that give it your all for success. And it was just really cool. And, I talked about how, my situation looks different, and I had some questions for him. What do I do when a part of my success is being social? You can't be a basement dwelling rock star. He can lock himself for 9 months away and just work and come out and then, start managing and getting, he hasn't let his friendships dry up. We still chatted like we're all friends. And if he ever, I know that he's working on his stuff. And once he kind of gets a grip on his career, I'm hoping, and he's hoping too, to also manage his relationships and start to bring a balance into his life. But for me, I was just asking his opinions on discipline for my situation, when I have to be on social media to a degree. I have to be social to a degree, in the scene to a degree. And I also, the way I am set up for my personal mental health and happiness, I need my relationships with friends, family. I need these things to be strong. So yeah, we just kind of talked it through, and I felt so fortunate, because I've had with him specifically, I'm giving him a shout out because I just wanted to give him a shout out because that's remarkable. But my friend Spencer reached out of the blue, and I talked about where I'm at, and I was asking how I'm doing. I told him how I've basically what I just told you, because he just wanted to get the catch up, and he just said how we connected on this concept. I sent him the War of Art too, and I said if you want to get a gist of kind of what I'm feeling, like that's what I'm applying. And he said it fucking was one of the he said it's one of the best things he could have read at his specific time too, because he is someone who's got a lot of process, a lot of energy to just do things. He's not a sit down and think. He's a do, because if he sits with his thoughts, he says he goes a little nuts. So he's got that energy to do, but sometimes it takes a little bit of that structure or that design to really put that to use. And I was talking to Eli Brown, and so Spencer, whether it's an Eli Brown, have both been on the podcast. If you want to scroll back for their episodes, what they do, both Spencer's a lawyer. Eli runs his own clothing company, and I was talking to Eli, and he is the poster boy for just fucking like the Nike shoe dog, like just get in there. He got it. Start working. His clothing company went from like what a mom would make out of her garage to on all these celebrities this last year, because he started and he just kept his nose to the grindstone for as long as I've been doing this podcast, for more, maybe 5 years. And he embarrassed himself. He pestered people. He sold. He made iterations of clothing, and the whole time he said, it's just getting better. Don't worry. He's like, I know that's this and this is that. And he was not afraid to reach out to connections to ask for anything. He wasn't worried about making mistakes. He just worked at it nonstop, and people would give him shit. People would say, he's just in, this store and that. And then the next year he'd be in like the Bay, and then or they'd be like, oh, he's not in all the bays, or like whatever. Like then these are not like his close friends saying this, but this is like just like general chatter. You'd hear about him, and I'd talk to him because we talk often, and it was always the same thing. Every day for the last 5 years, what are you doing? I'm going to the factory. I'm going to the office. I'm working late. I'm working on this. And when I talked to him today, when I saw him today, it's the same thing. The guy just has done the same thing, getting up early, going to bed late, working on weekends, sacrificing. And this year he got on a lawn, he hit that kind of breakthrough where, oh, yeah, I'm getting into a few big stores, or, oh, maybe I got featured in this one cool magazine like Oprah magazine, or, this one celebrity like tagged me in their thing to like this past 6 months. I feel like he's got on like a Bachelor guy, like the actor from Stranger Things, this huge female influencer, custom lines, millions of people coming to his brand in traffic, just like, and he's doing and partnerships. When COVID hit, and he saw like, a bit of a weird time, he kept his nose down and he partnered to start manufacturing masks. I got to give him a shout out. And I was just like looking around, and I was looking at all my other friends, and I just felt real fortunate. Like, and I only brought those guys up because they've been on the pod, and I've had recent conversations with them, but giving like my close boys the shout, because they're always kind of on this wave, and I just felt super fortunate, and I was really reflecting on this last year. I felt satisfied. I felt good and blessed, and it's how could you be upset? You know what I mean? Like I was thinking, oh, I'm in the same place, and I haven't quite hit those strides, but what if just being surrounded by good people is an accomplishment, then yeah, I was just psyched about it, and I was just happy to have him around, because I'm going to enter that world myself, and hopefully I could be that friend to the people that are coming down the same path after me, and the listeners out there as well. I'm just psyched up. I had some things I wanted to talk about too. I'll get into it. How long have I been talking? Let me check the timer here. So I get in a trance. Like, that was 35 minutes. For me, it felt like 10 minutes. I actually black out, like old school. When he's doing the debate, I get in like a flow state when I start talking about this stuff. There's no prep for that. There's no, like, I had no notes for those monologues, and I often don't. But yeah, let me get into what I was talking about. Yeah, the shout outs, the boys, my friends, even like the guys who I haven't seen in a while. It's nice. Like it feels like no time has passed when you talk to them, and it's like the sign of just great friendships. I got so many of those, and fuck, I just can't wait to figure myself out and have a bit of a stable lifestyle with my career, so that I can start, streamlining music and money, so that I can start to be, I said you only be good at a few things. I'd love to be really great at music, be really great at health and taking care of myself, and then be good at my relationships. And I just can't wait to be the guy who, especially if I can get to where I want to in music, to just bring everyone together through that, at shows and concerts, and, having the money to organize things that people that maybe are working the more traditional jobs, they don't have the flexibility or the time to bring together, and just use it as a way to appreciate just the surroundings around me. That's a big dream for me. That'd be cool. But yeah, so I was thinking back, and I was reflecting on my businesses and the stuff I've done, and I realized that I've just been following the same roadmap that I learned through past experiences that happened to me, working under people, and working through my health and stuff, that getting my degree and stuff. I learned things, obviously, and then I just applied that roadmap for like the last 2 years, and really never deviated, and it got me to the exact same place. So I'm just excited to start on a new path, and without, not really a roadmap, but more of a how-to guide to just put your fucking foot in front of the other and just keep trucking no matter what. And I also realize I say I keep trucking all the time. As I edit back, I hear it all the fucking time. Might have to make merch. And yeah, I'm really pumped about this vacation. I'm about to take some time off for Christmas, off this routine where I'm like getting up at 6 a.m. and I may still get up early, and I may still do that, but I got to make a bit of a vacation version of discipline. So I'm excited to try some stuff. I'm just going to do what I did with this routine and make my best guess at the best way to spend my time up there, because I still have a lot of work I need to get done, but I also still want to be a balanced person, that when I'm with my family and on vacation, that, yeah, I still do that little bit above and beyond to solidify my status as someone that that grinds for what he wants, but can still take time with family and take time off. And I also don't want to fuck off ever, really. Like, my time off, I want to be cooking. I want to be working on my dirt bikes, or building something, or playing a board game or chess or a puzzle. Like, I think fucking off is great, and there is a time and place for it, but it's no way I want to live my life. So I'm really pumped to see what new perspective and a little bit of discipline and a splash of motivation has in store for my vacation. That kind of rhymed. Yeah. What next? Oh, okay. I heard something real cool. I got dumped in COVID, and this might come as a shock, but I actually get dumped a fair amount now these days. More because it is somewhat mutual. This one wasn't, and I already talked about it in a whole episode. But and I'm not like the other ones are more a dumping because of the timing, but mutual in like their sentiment. But yeah, like I haven't really figured out what I want from a relationship yet. All I know is I'm slow. Feelings don't come easy. I work at it and I do give it a shot. But before COVID, in the last 3 years, as much as I rag on how I was living, I was a really busy person. My schedules were always full, morning to night, like from the minute I got up to when I got to bed. And yeah, it made dating difficult, but I also, would date people and would kind of really blame myself when the feelings wouldn't come as quick. And I mean, girls, I think they feel in a different way. And when they're attracted to a guy, like that's like a form of feelings. Whereas I can be really attracted to girls, and that can be completely separate from feelings and, even physical relationships. So I think that's why girls, I feel guilty that I get in these relationships and I always feel like kind of like an anchor in it, not the sail, not the thing driving it forward. And the amount of time I give to it, it always ends up in the honesty I have throughout, which is that I'm honest all the time. If I'm having a hard time feeling and or if I'm busy and I'm just saying my priorities are out of whack and I don't really know the answers, but at the moment I'm enjoying dating and I do like you and I'm liking you more and more and I still want to keep dating, but this is my kind of situation. And the girls are usually always super appreciative of the honesty, and it's not that we have a bad time. It's not this like clinical thing, but at some point with that amount of honesty, they're able to come to conclusions sooner, which is, hey, you know what? I don't think this is the one. This isn't the relationship. And usually the conversation is similar. It's like, I'm having a great time too, but I need to open myself up to someone who's ready to give more, is usually what it is. And I say that is exactly how I want to end a relationship is that. And it's like there's big respect in it and there's stuff like that. And I go back on my way and I don't know the answers, so I just keep, I know I like dating and I want to keep trying to fucking get those feelings going. So I'm not just going to go into my zone. And I just wonder, and I always like reference that like a huge part of my kind of desires to be an extraordinary person is to attract an extraordinary person. And the way I see myself, and I'm sure everyone's the same way, is like, I am a realist, so I kind of have an idea of where I'm at. But then the way I see myself on the inside is like a absolute 10 out of 10. Like, I think I'm so special because my mom always told me that growing up, and it's made an incredible confidence. But I'm realistic. I know that everyone thinks they're special, but I also don't stop myself from letting myself believe it, because there's a lot of good that comes from making yourself the main character in your life and believing that you are these things, because someone's got to believe it, especially if you're going to ever be special. I see myself that way, and my mom is an absolute like one of a kind person, and I think it sewered me because I'm looking for like this what I think is like an unattainable standard, unless I can attract that. And I heard something cool the other day. Basically, this guy was saying, think about everything you want in this ideal person. Write it all down, make the list, all the things that you'd want in this person you think may not exist, but write it all down, imagine it, and then take the person on that paper and ask yourself if she would be attracted to you as you are right now. And yeah, it made me, I don't know, made me kind of feel, yeah, it's not that weird of a thought what I'm doing, that a big part of my motivation for success is enjoying life. And that doesn't just mean solo enjoying the fruits of labor. It means like attracting an unreal people. So yeah, I thought that was cool. And then right after, and I didn't do the exercise because I just know I have to work on myself. And to be honest, I thought about what he said about the ideal person. And then this other thought popped in my head, which is like, I can't even think of that ideal person. I don't know what they look like. I don't know what like my gold standard is for of attractiveness or smarts or humor. And I was just, this is what got me, is I was thinking, if someone told, and I wanted to know if everyone else is the same way as me, but if someone told you to think of like the perfect person, could you do it? Could you picture it? Maybe you're already with them. Maybe they're the one that got away and like you've been looking for someone like that ever since. But does everyone have top of mind an image of the most attractive person they know, or the coolest girl, or the best total package, or a celebrity, or even like a fake image of like what they want to attract? And am I like, is maybe that why I don't find that person, because I don't even know what I'm looking for? Yeah, I didn't know. That was just a thought that popped in my head after I heard that. I thought that was cool. More updates on other things I talked in previous episodes. I talked about the Jay Alvarez sex tape a couple episodes back, and I didn't know any deets on it, but I made some speculations. You know, everyone believes that he put it out himself. Everyone kind of called the girl in it like Russian model. Like I didn't know her name. I didn't know any details about it. I saw a clip of her talking about it. She said it was filmed 4 years ago. She said they were dating. She said he was trying to get her to do a sex tape for a while, and she finally agreed to it. Her friend filmed it on his cameras. I don't know who edited it, but she said the weirdest part was that after they broke up, he like threatened to release it a bunch, and then it just came out now. So she thinks that he released it. That's all I got from her. I didn't look too much into it because I actually don't know if I believe her either. Because the last girl he had a big public falling out with, his first big girlfriend, there was like allegations of blackmail, and she looked fucking crazy too, and he looked like he could easily be a psychopath, just like, I don't know, I got that vibe. She was the one that tweeted that he had a tiny wiener, and it, you know, if this video is, you know, his ex, the girl from the video didn't say that that was a lie, so the OG girl lied about that, so it makes you think, you know, what else, you know, was she lying about the blackmail? Or, you know, if she's not afraid to just put a blatant, big, like, bold character or a bold lie about something that's like pretty provable. Yeah, so then now I'm like, okay, this Russian girl could say that, but, you know, who knows the truth? And then I also realized I don't give one single fuck what the truth is. I just am entertained by the story of it. And then another thing I talked about, I don't know if it was that same episode with the Jay Alvarez sex tape, but was people body shaming Rebel Wilson for getting in shape, and how that they did it to Adele before. And then on Joe Rogan recently, they talked about how Lizzo started going on a health kick and how she's getting backlash for it. And it's funny because Joe Rogan went on kind of like a similar tangent to the one I went on about Rebel Wilson, about how like fucking absurd it is that people get on her case about she's morbidly obese. Like there's no, it's not insulting to say. Like she would have health problems probably if she continued on at her size. It's not saying that she isn't beautiful or that guys wouldn't love tapping all Lizzo's got to offer. But yeah, she's she's at her size, she would need to focus on her health if she wants to, live long to enjoy her nice career. And people are really upset because she was such a big is beautiful advocate. And it's just a sick joke. Big is fine. Big is beautiful, but it's not healthy. Just like if it's like if you have depression or bipolarism, you want people to accept it, and you want to be, that to be totally acceptable and beautiful in its own way. But it doesn't mean it's the healthiest thing for your brain or your body. Like, you have to manage it. You have to, whether it's pills for bipolar, if you need that, or for depression, if it's pills, or if it's, lifestyle change. Like, it's still something, like, both are true. Sorry, it wasn't Andrew Santino, it was Andrew Schultz. I was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he made a good point that the problem really isn't that her fans are getting on her case for her becoming healthy, but it's more that, I don't know if this was the case for Rebel, which I think it was, more so than Adele, and it definitely was the case for Lizzo, but she took and rode the body positivity wave and got a lot of support from that. And, that's, if you're gonna kind of ride a wave like that, and this is what Andrew Schultz was saying, is like, if you're gonna ride a wave like that, you have to get ready for when that wave eventually crashes. You ride it take it for what it is. It's a wave. Hop on it. But you have to understand that when you pander to a special interest group that happens to be, obesity and body positivity, that you're going to piss them off if you're then starting to promote health, and you haven't pissed off the body positivity crowd that still is okay with healthy bodies too, but you pissed off a special interest group of people that just have no tolerance for, they were your fans because more of your special interest than your actual, than you as a person. And Andrew Schultz said that it's more work. You can ride waves and you can use it, but it's a lot more work to authentically, and I'm not saying Lizzo wasn't being authentic, but a lot of people out there, and especially people that do the whole Twitter, virtue signaling, or the celebrities that pander really hard to these, whatever trend is happening out there, that they're just absolute cucks for these special interest groups to try to ride the wave, to try to build a fan base, that those people eventually get fucking eaten alive by it, because if it's not true to who they are, they'll eventually slip and fall. And Joe Rogan was talking about how the mayor of LA, got elected, and his whole thing was trying to please the really progressive liberal group that calls for all these crazy, defund the police and, vaccinate, or turn babies gay. I don't know the progressive left that well. And he pandered to them, it just showed recently, him and the governor are massive hypocrites, and they're forcing all these extreme mandates for masks and stuff, but the governor got caught indoors without a mask at a big large group, and Gavin Newsom, the actual mayor, is getting protested now by the same groups he tried to pander to, because he's not fixing the homeless, or he's not progressive enough, and you eventually get eaten up alive. Where Schultz was if you can take the time to build people that fuck with you, and not just fuck with you because you fuck with the wave, then you can, it might take more time and it's more work, but then, you can kind of do whatever you want, and your fans stay with you when you change. I thought it was an interesting point for someone like me, I do often think about, doing what I want or being authentic to myself versus, maybe riding a wave, like something I think is tacky on TikTok. Or it's not that I would fundamentally change really, but I also don't really show too much, especially my music, my beliefs. I don't know. So it gave me some food for thought. I thought that was cool, but also like people got to fucking chill out on that, on pandering to like a group of no life Twitter people. I can't wait till things come out that are competitive to Twitter or Facebook or competitive at least to radical, like weird, cancel culture. Just to balance it out. I'd love to see what the alternative is. And I'm hoping it's not just like alternatively super right wing. I hope it's like kind of center, because I think we've had the right wing before. I think the US has been very right wing, and then the hippies onwards and the civil rights movements on until now has been getting more and more progressive. And I think it'd be cool to see what like a centralist solution is to pleasing everybody. But yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'm not political. But I did think about that Jay Alvarez video a little bit more. And I was thinking like, and I heard someone talk about this, the comments on the Jay Alvarez video, except for a few people that were like, like myself, that saw it. And the comments were like so many people being like, holy shit, like that was so sexy. And I wish my sex was like that. And there was oil and he was going down on her. And, it looked like he loved her. And I'm not even boosting. Like I saw the video and I was like, other than them being smoking hot, this was a normal sex. If you at least care the slightest about sex, like other than over dramatizing, when he like goes down or like holding sexier positions because there's a camera filming you, they didn't do anything crazy. The only thing that was crazy is they used coconut oil and they put it in the hotel kettle to heat it up. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. I was like, you probably ruined that kettle and it's probably all over the sheets. Like I'm sure there's, I'm saying it's probably the effect is real sexual and cool, but maybe a more sustainable way to do it than just fucking your shit up. But yeah, other than the oil, really, which is like, again, you can just get it's a sex shop and get some oil, or use coconut oil if it's hotter. And I mean, my coconut oil is liquid at room temperature. I don't know why you threw that bitch in a kettle. I guess I don't know. Yeah, like I mean, there's some basic things that some girls could. That you throw in there, like going down, and even vibrators, or I don't know. It's weird to talk about. I'm not like a openly sexual person, so I actually feel quite weird saying that stuff, unless I'm with the lads, in which case it's graphic details, everything you need to know. And it didn't look that spectacular, and it made me also wonder who really is to blame for bad sex, because every person I saw in the comments, the vast majority overwhelmingly blamed men. All these girls were like, no, I wish guys would do this to me. No guy's ever done this. Guys are so bad at sex. And like it started like this, like, oh, they jackhammer, like they bust quickly, like all this critiquing guys. And it made me think of this comedian. I wish I could remember what comedian it was that was ripping on women for just thinking that they're good at sex. And it made me think like, yeah, are girls good at sex? Because a lot of girls think they're good at sex because guys get off every time that they have sex with them. a light gust can get guys off. Like if you gave guys a sandpaper blow up doll and they tried hard enough, they could probably get off. It's no just because they're busting quick really has nothing to do with the girl. It's got everything to do with the guy. And sure, if she's better looking or if it's hotter, I think it can have an effect on it. But sure. But I mean, for the most part, if girls are thinking, and what the comedian's joke was, is that who's really bad at sex? Like, is it the person who thinks that they're just the best because they were born with it, or like the person that like works on something? And I think a lot of girls are equally to blame as guys, because guys, yeah, the pressure's on them to take the lead in the bedroom, but I hate to break it to you girls, but you're all different. Guys are very, other than their personal like fetishes, they're very push button. Like it's a real simple formula. I bet you give me, I bet you I could get off 99% of the male population. You know what I mean? Like it's not rocket science. Whereas just from my limited experience is like girls are, I mean, some are alike in some ways, but it's really a personal thing. And yeah, there's some general good practices. There's some general, areas that kind of are the right place to be at, but how hard, how soft, like all this stuff, tempo, timing, angles, like emotional connection, like foreplay, like it's really a much more complicated thing. And yeah, as a guy, it really benefits that I took an interest in it. But like most of the time, without the girl's help, I really like things didn't really click until I showed that I was interested, and the girl would be like, this, not that, or like that's for me, and like, oh, like so maybe some girls like that, but I like this. And through time, I figured out, and girls, get better at sex if you want better sex. Guys are extremely down to just like fucking tell them what you like. It'll be such a weight off their shoulder. And don't listen to Call Her Daddy. Those girls are fucking idiots. They're literal sluts. Like, if you want to be slutty and hot like that, cool, yeah. Gluck 9,000 dudes after the bar and have them tell their buddies how you give great head. If you want just to have the good sex with the regular dude, like those girls terrify me, the Call Her Daddy girls, like terrify me. They just talk about cheating on guys and like doing anal and like in a pornographic way. Cool, that's exciting. Not what you really, not the most exciting for a girlfriend to be cheating on you. I mean, anal, I don't know. That's that's a scary place in itself, but not in itself a bad thing, like cheating. Gluck's great too, but the just knowing what you want is better than all of that. And just like kind of being good at it yourself. Guys are extremely pliable. And unless that guy doesn't give a fuck, which in that case you can say, oh, this guy's just bad at sex. Like he actually doesn't give a fuck. And I told him everything and he's just doing his thing. He's just selfish. And then you can be like, oh, guys are bad at sex, or that guy's bad at sex. But yeah, it made me think, if you haven't worked at it and you think you're just naturally good at it, you're probably not. Guys tell you you are, because they probably aren't either. And to be honest, sex is like pizza for guys. Blowjobs are like pizza for guys. Like, it's always good. Even bad pizza, you'd be like, it was bad pizza, but it's still better than not pizza, you know? I just thought I'd, end the podcast on a nice little tip from Trav, the sexpert, your local sexpert. Final note, sign off. I just want to give a shout out to Korean people. I think Koreans have an exceptional culture. And that is just from personal experience. So if you disagree, you gotta let me know, because to be honest, and I only say this because one of my buddies I went to piloting school is Korean, and one of the guys I lived with in school is Korean, and they have a similar thing, and their friends that are Korean, they have a similar thing. Like they all are into different stuff, and their personalities are quite different, but they have a similar thing about their core cultures and like just kind of how they treat people and how they treat work and how they treat. It's like this like positivity. It's this. I don't know. There's something about Korean people where I just think that they are doing it right. And we'll look at my buddy who I went to school with and how he's living. And I just remember how nice of a guy he was and how nice of a guy my roommate was. And I saw a video of it was like a Korean politician and like just the Korean people and how they kind of treat each other. And it just clicked for me. I was like, that is a great culture. I want to learn a bit more about it. So take a moment to appreciate when people are doing it right. I think Canadians have a great culture too. I think about that all the time when I go around Toronto, all the different areas, how just culturally I'm really pumped. Except for GTA 6 God culture, that can absolutely eat a bag of dicks. But it's still fun. It's still kind of nice to watch. But it like if douchey like GTA 6 God shit, unless you're a nice guy about it and you use it for humor, that is the most annoying thing out there. But yeah, shout out Koreans. On that note, probably one more episode before the end of the year. I probably should have saved the recap for then, but fuck it, I do things my own way. So pumped for the new year. I hope you're still enjoying the content. I don't know what I'm going to change about the podcast yet, but I mean, the change is going to come. I got a studio coming, and I've had some ideas. I got to see what Rob wants to do once we move in together, and I'm feeling good. Let's have happy holidays and take a little extra time to appreciate what you got. And if you feel like you don't got a lot to appreciate, maybe it's time to set a couple resolutions to build that, because it is something that can be found. So give back if you can. Give good gifts. Help someone out. Maybe that one person that always asks for change at the particular corner. Maybe spread a little holiday cheer to them too if you can. And have a good Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. That's all I know. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Flying high like the birds and the bees, and we'll fill the sky with the songs and the trees, 'cause we're buzzing, and we're humming, and we're loving all day. Flying high like the birds and the bees, and we're feeling alive while we float with the breeze, 'cause we're buzzing, and we're humming, and we're loving all day. You're my honey and I saw my tree, spreading love just like some bumblebees, and I know you're coming back.